All right, 7:34 here on NewsRadio WRVA. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, March 30th. So, what'd you do this weekend? I worked in the show, went to Costco, went to church, went to breakfast at Satterwhite's, and I did not protest. I didn't go to the No Kings protest. I was actually thinking of going just to experience it, but then I thought, I got better things to do. See, if you would just look at the local media and the national media, oh my gosh, these No Kings protests were so big and so important. And I'm here to tell you why they're not, okay? Follow me here on Richmond's Morning News. So I've been to these protests before. I've seen these protests before. And the one thing that struck me is there's just a lot of different people there for a lot of different reasons. So on Friday's show, we told you there was going to be not one, but two No Kings protests right here in Richmond, Virginia. Wow, it's so big that they actually have to have two different protests because, no, that wasn't it. The reason they had two different protests is the people that organized it couldn't get along and come up with one big protest, so instead they decided to have two protests because one wanted to march, one wanted to sing songs, one cared that there was a LGBT market going on at the same time, and they didn't want to interfere with that. So they couldn't come up with a single protest. Their differences were too great, and they had to split into two different protests. So what's that tell you? Again, I come from sports. I look for little signs. I look for little tells. I look for scouting report that tells me what's really going on. Because let's say football, it's chaos. You can't really tell by looking at the big picture. You got to drill down a little bit and look for the little clue that opens everything up. And that's what I'm going to do with you right here. See, if the No Kings protest was so important and so legitimate, they would have had one protest because the overwhelming need to have this protest is bigger than my own little petty differences. But if I can't even get together over one little protest here in Richmond, Virginia, that tells you this is not legitimate. See, what you're seeing isn't unity. What you're seeing is packaging. And here in Richmond, they couldn't package it together and get together with their own little petty differences to have one big rally. So they split into two. And that tells me all I need to know. Because again, it's not unity, it's packaging. Different groups, different agendas with nothing in common except they all hate Donald Trump. That's not a movement, that's a big pile. So let me explain this to you a little bit more. We're being told to represent something bigger than it actually does because of the numbers. So why do they have all these big numbers? Couple of reasons.